Good evening and welcome to the Ferguson City Council February 14th meeting. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. The opening ceremony, Clerk Pittman, let us stand for a silent prayer. The pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Now, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. No. Mayor Jones.
Here. A quorum is present. At this time.
We can.
At this time, we will have our public comments. And we are planning on stopping around 8:15, a hard stop, okay?
Erica Brooks.
So, and not only Ferguson, but the state of our state. Because I don't know how many of you all heard about the bill that wasn't passed in order to not allow young kids to be able to not have access to guns in public. And it was voted to be able to happen where young kids can carry guns in public. According to the House, you know, with the Republicans, right? And why do we have a big whole huge sign in the middle of our community for St. Charles gun sale when it's a huge problem in our neighborhood? So, I mean, different things like that to say that we care about Ferguson. It's like, you know, how do you care when you allow that kind of things to, you know, be displayed in the middle of your community? That's one thing. When it comes down to the status of what happened on Tuesday, February the 7th, where Tony Burrow was recalled, one thing I want to say, when I signed that petition, it wasn't because I hated her, nothing personal. All these days that I have been coming to this podium asking for our community to speak, both Heather and Tony Burrow to speak up for us. It was just because of that, because they represent us. And we have all kind of things in our neighborhood that need to be addressed. It has nothing personal to do with that, you know, just her. With her being removed from the board, I want people to know and understand that there's an alliance in our community where they have the same thing. I don't know if you all ever heard of the White Declaration of Independence, because there's a declaration and there's a White Declaration of Independence. And that White Declaration of Independence came along because the people felt like the Africans at the time were getting too many jobs and they were prevailing over the community. So they vowed, just like what's happening right now today, the different Black people that were elected officials in office, they're being removed because they felt like, hey, we have to unite and take our country back. So when I say that the state of Ferguson right now, this is what's going on, and not just Ferguson, but in the country. So just know and understand that removal or that recall from this office, it was nothing personal. It's about our leaders standing up for us and understanding that if they don't speak up for our existence as people, African Americans in this community, we're going to be erased. And people can act like, you know, just nothing to talk about, but I guarantee you, the people that uphold their founding fathers of Ferguson, and they know who I'm talking about. I know just personally talking to Nick at the poll on Tuesday, I'll make this comment, and I'm gonna say it because as a person that's a candidate running for mayor, there's no way that I would have felt comfortable and proud to say this. He made the comment of, you know, during the time 2014, it was all because of racial profiling. It was all because of injustice. And so we're talking about police pulling people over and not being, for not the right reasons.
40 seconds to go.
Okay, and so when we say, hey, well, he said that basically he would feel that he wouldn't be pulled over and snatched out of the car because of his white privilege, right? So as a mayor, as an outstanding citizen of this community, I want him to know and understand that as a leader and somebody we looking up to and looking up to make choices for diversity and inclusion, please understand what you're saying out loud. And think
Wrap it
about
up.
everybody in the whole community and not just your own personal feelings about your skin color. Because as a Fergusonite at this point, we need everybody to be included. Everybody to be looked out for.
You're over time. Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Elder A. Jenkins.
Good evening, council. I have just a few words that I would like to say and put on record. Ferguson has always been messy, even before Mike Brown killing. Now the residents will be going backwards. I don't know how to say this, but this would be modern day slavery. If a resident vote for Nicholas Casnall for mayor, they are voting for white privilege. He's a racist. He writes nasty things about people of color that are in authority in that rag he called a newspaper. I never seen so much racism. This is staring the people right in the face. The whole election was hell, was waste of money and time. It's about white privilege. But Ferguson is always crying broke, but no one said anything about when Mr. McKenzie came here to build senior living for senior people of all color. But then you look around and you ask where the money went, it looks like that the council didn't have any problem giving Michael Palmer money to buy up half of Ferguson. Where no one's been held accountable for this money. I'm not keeping quiet. Nicholas Felton thought by eliminating Tony Burris for mayor that it would give him a better chance to run against Mayor Jones. But he don't know, he don't stand a chance of winning against her. So the best way for him to keep her from running, Tony from running against him, was to recall her seat. I don't know why he feels that he can win against Mayor Jones, but this is supposed to be a free country, so he can dream. I know that the council are human, and human beings make mistakes. But when are you going to get it right? When are you going to do the things for the people who are calling you and asking you to step out and look into the neighborhoods? When are you going to start listening to the residents? When are you going to give the people what they're asking for? Ferguson, as I said, has always been a mess. It is a bigger mess now. I want to say, sitting up there like you got it all, you're a bag of chips and a soda. I stand to tell you, you don't have it.
40 seconds, ma'am.
And I want to let the residents know that this last election showed that the white privilege still exists here in Ferguson. We don't have it all.
Thank you.
Jonathan Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Tremaine Thomas. I am the president of Civil Righteousness Incorporated, which is a movement of reconciliation and restorative justice, pursuing reconciliation and restorative justice through spiritual, cultural, and economic renewal. We are based here in Ferguson, Missouri, organized as a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. I moved here to Ferguson in 2014 during the civil unrest, and unlike many who came and went, we stayed. We sold our house in Indianapolis, had a little bit of a journey before we were able to buy a home here in Ferguson, which we did in 2017. And we since have bought another property, which we renovated, a historic home in this city as well, which we rent out because we believe in economic renewal. 2017, we noticed that the corner coffee house was on the market. And I am a pastor. I was a pastor on staff at a church in West County for about 3 years. I'm no longer on staff. I give myself full time to the work of leading civil righteousness. But when I noticed this vacancy, it took us a year, but we ended up purchasing and closing on that building in February of 2019. At which point, on closing day, I walked in the building and found a foot of water in the floor. Pipes had burst, water had flooded the place. We got the water out, and just 2-3 months later, we discovered black mold all in the walls. Our quote, it looked turnkey from the inside. Even our inspection did not pick up on the structural and foundational issues and the water issues in the place. We got a quote for $80,000 just to remediate the mold. It took us, we thought we could renovate and get open for under $40,000 altogether. So needless to say, $80,000 was a major blow to our plans. What we did not anticipate, we finally raised that money and got the mold remediated, but then COVID hit. So we had some other plans to create a for-profit business owned by our nonprofit because we wanted to pay into the tax base of the city and create jobs for the city. But what happened was COVID hit and all of our investment for the for-profit venture pulled out because no one knew what the world would do. So we redoubled, we launched the for-profit business online, sold coffee online, sold at the farmer's market, sold out at every market. People loved our product. We found another investor in 2021, hired a contractor who hired folks in our community to try to employ them and give them a second chance.
40 seconds, sir.
Few seconds?
40.
40 seconds. Long story short, we've encountered problem after problem. And about 6 months ago, I kind of decided to just go a different direction. But we're redoubling our efforts. I wanted you to know we've hired a new contractor. And yesterday we cut a $30,000 check to start the electrical. We've had permits held up in the administration here. We desperately need your help to ensure that permitting processes go through in a timely manner so that we don't lose further investment or further interest in the project, which will focus on servicing our nonprofit activities first, and then phase 2, eventually, hopefully we'll be able to relaunch the for-profit venture. Thank you.
Adrian Shropshire.
Good evening, council. I want to thank Ms. Octavia, Chief Hampton, City Attorney, Ms. Phaedra, the mayor, and Ms. Noah. But for the rest of y'all that's got your heads down when we're trying to talk to you, act like you're not paying attention to us. I sat there and listened to 2 people, 3 people talk. And Heather, your head was down all the time. I don't know if you're right and everything everybody said,
Everything
but
that
we
you're
would
saying.
like to see you look up, and
Sorry, I'm sorry.
we're not standing up here just be talking to your heads. I think it's rude and ill-mannered. I would like to bring some attention to the sinkhole that we're having right up here underneath the trestle at the crosswalk. It's fallen, its contractor must not have did a good job, but it's got a big dip there now. And something could happen to tires and stuff like that. For the last 15 years, we've been trying to get something done to the building across the street from the Victorian Plaza. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know where that guy is, California, but he just can't see what's going on here. And I'd like the council or the acting city manager to look into it, or the attorney, to see what we can do to press that hand. I'm fair. And I think that when you get into campaigning, there's a lot of mudslinging, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And if there's signs in that easement, I would like to have them taken out. I'm asking the city manager to order Public Works to remove all campaign signs that's in the easement. We have this problem every year, and I like for this year for it to be enforced. Public Works will pull your signs out of an easement. I don't have a problem with who's running. I don't care, but let's do it right. Our councilwomen, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Miller.
Good evening, Council and Mayor.
Good evening.
During the first months of 2020, there were many contentious city council meetings as members of our community protested plans to promote Jeff Bloom to interim city manager. At each of these meetings, Mayor James Knowles used his miscellaneous comments to attack and disparage all those who had made public comments that he didn't like. Eventually, Ms. Mildred Kleins felt she could not take the dismissals and disrespect anymore. She came to this podium and made it clear that she was not going to comply with the 3-minute speaking limit. She proceeded to read every single indictment against Jeff Bloom that was cited in the Department of Justice's report on Ferguson's misdeeds leading up to the 2014 uprising. When 3 minutes had elapsed, Mayor Knowles shouted and hammered his gavel to make Ms. Klein stop. Failing to quiet her, Mayor Knowles brusquely stomped off the dais with Tony Burrow heeling close behind. After about 5 minutes, Mayor Knowles and Tony Burrow came back into the room and took their seats. Ms. Kleins, however, wasn't finished. So again, Mayor Knowles tried to shout her down, banged his gavel, and then for a second time, stomped out of the room. This time, both council members Burrow and Heather Robinette followed him out of the council chamber. Mayor Knowles was not pressured to resign, nor was there a recall vote. Instead, there are many in Ferguson who continue to idolize him. So when James Knowles' actions were excused, why was Eric Osterberg's protest when he walked out near the end of a recent council meeting seen as a terminal offense? For those unfamiliar with our city's politics, Mr. Osterberg's resignations may appear to be isolated events, but they were the result of a long string of offenses caused by the council's disrespect and violations of the city charter. Mr. Osterberg complained that the city exhibited a pattern of second-guessing him, countermanding him, meddling, and undermining his authority over his staff and discriminating against him. We saw this publicly time after time, including the remarks by Councilmember Lipka that led to Mr. Osterberg leaving the council meeting, although the heckling from a mayoral candidate of all people seems to have been the last straw. In meeting after meeting, you said how happy you were with Mr. Osterberg's service to our community. Yet we now learn that the environment at City Hall had gotten so toxic that Mr. Osterberg demanded that his own lawyer be present at every meeting with the council. Once again, the city threw away a competent, motivated, and ethical city manager. And who will want to apply to fill this job vacancy, knowing that they will be treated horribly by our city council? We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the last in seat. I have one online, and that is Jerry Knoll.
Thank you, Octavia. Mayor Jones and council members, as I've often done over the last year or so, I'm here again to remind the council that we need more members on the Ferguson Civilian Review Board. We had one just resign here over the last week or two. So currently we need a member from Ward 1 and a member from Ward 3. And you'll notice when I've made my requests over these last month, I always try to specify which ward we need members from, because as far as I know, the Ferguson Civilian Review Board is the only board that has a specific requirement for membership from each ward. I never, in any of my requests, directed my requests for more members to Councilwoman Burrow, because I've always felt it was the responsibility of the entire council, since you all represent all the wards, to recruit members for the Ferguson Civilian Review Board. So to me, it's the entire council's responsibility. You all represent all the wards, and I hope you have the same view on it, that it's all of your responsibility, since we do have a specific requirement for membership from each ward. Now, one of you, with Councilwoman Burrow had been the council rep on the Ferguson Civilian Review Board, so one of you may end up being appointed to the new council rep, and I hope when you take your place as our council rep, that you would encourage also your fellow council members to help out by recruiting members from the wards when they're needed from those wards. So right now we need a member from Ward 1 and from Ward 3. For future references for those council members from Ward 2 and Ward 3, in June, we'll have a member terming out from Ward 2 and a member terming out from Ward 3. So I would hope that you would join whoever our new council rep would be in recruiting members for those wards. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Public comment is now closed. I would like to entertain a motion and a second to amend the agenda to the special presentation move up before the manager's report.
So move Naquita Noah.
Second.
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, city manager, would you call your special presentation?
Yes, Mayor, Council, pleasure being here. I have with me tonight Evan Trump, our finance director, and he will be doing the introduction of Greg Stump, who is our person for our pension board.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight, I am going to introduce Mr. Greg Stump, who is with Boomershine Consulting Group, who is our actuary for our pension fund. It is important to, and is a requirement to keep the pension fund in a sound financial status and health, to have an actuary study done so we can maintain proper funding for the pension fund each and every fiscal year. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Greg Stump.
Do you have this to run the screen, or
Yes.
does everybody have this?
Yeah, the council has it, but I'm gonna try to pull
Okay,
it now.
okay. So yeah, I just have a paper copy myself. It's an 11-page document. So thanks for taking the time to listen to me tonight. This is my annual trip here, and I'm here to talk about the pension fund. And as always, 18 years running now, it's good news. The plan's very well funded, and I'll go over some of the details here, and I do have one additional topic for tonight. So if we just scroll to the third page right there, I'm not going to go over all the words on this page, but these are the things that we look at every year. So we collect data on everyone in the plan, financial information, how the fund's investments are doing, and determine, what adjustments and costs need to be made every year. That's the number one thing we do. And all these different things affect the cost going from year to year and over the long term. The other couple things we do are we provide all the calculations for the city's financial reporting at the end of the fiscal year. And sometimes we do a benefit study to see what would be the impact of a change in benefits. That's one thing I'll talk about tonight. Without going over all these items on the page here, the terminations, meaning people quitting, people getting fired, people leaving the job before they can retire. that's been a big issue here. There's a lot of turnover, and that's generally not a good thing to have a lot of turnover in your organization. However, it happens to help where the pension fund's concerned, because you don't have to fund, if somebody's here for 7 years, they leave, you don't have to pay their pension. They don't have anything. So on the next page, we just kind of look at a high level summary of the last 3 evaluations. So the 2022, and this is as of July 1. So everything, all the numbers on this page are as of July 1 of the year listed. And the 1 year change just shows how it changed from 2021 to 2022. We'll do it again this July 1 going forward. But the top line, the actuarial accrued liability, that's just basically how much assets should you have in the fund. So in a perfect world, you'd always have the same assets as the liability. Well, you've been there for a while. The liability is 28 million. So right on target. In fact, a little over 100%. You can see on the bottom line there. The cost of the plan is just 2 pieces. The normal cost, that's for every employee. There's a cost of their benefit that will eventually get if they qualify for retirement. And then there's just moving towards 100%. So if you're a little under 100%, you add a little more to that. If you're a little over 100%, you deduct from that normal cost. So the total contribution, and kind of towards the bottom of the page there, went from 505,000 to 487 to 359 more recently, and percentage of payroll is right underneath. When you're exactly 100% funded, it's just the normal cost of the plan. So it's about a $450,000 a year plan to provide the benefits. The next page is something I haven't shown you in the past, but I think it's really important because of the volatility we've had in the markets. The purpose of asset smoothing is just so your contribution doesn't go from a very low number to a very high number, back down, and doesn't bounce around a lot. It's really contribution smoothing. But the way it works is for every year of investments, you recognize 1/5 of what just happened. And then the next year you recognize another fifth, another fifth, another fifth. So you can see what happened in 2019. There was a small loss. It's below the 0 line. That's fully recognized now. What happened in 2020? It was another loss. It's below the 0 line. That's mostly recognized by now. 2021 was a very good year. There was a gain of $5 million. We still have 3 million to recognize going forward. That's the good news. Bad news is what happened more recently, which was a loss of a little over $4 million. And we still have to recognize that. So in total, there are unrecognized losses, which means we should expect the cost to kind of inch up each year as we go forward over the next few years. But it should not be a drastic change unless 2023 ends as bad as 2022. So the next page is just a high-level summary of membership. Active, meaning active employees. Terminated vested, meaning people who work for the city long enough for 8 years, but just haven't started collecting their benefit yet. They're waiting until they reach age 62. And people receiving benefits. So relatively stable, more employees now than before. And when I say now, it's July 1st. We measure everything as July 1st. But the population did get younger, and that's a reflection of the high level of turnover. But that also happens to be a good thing. If your pension population is younger, going from year to year, it's easier to fund the plan. And that is the summary of the valuation. So the last 2 topics are, the future outlook and the benefit provisions. Funding ratio is 103%, as I mentioned. It's expected to remain close to 100%. I just talked about the asset smoothing. That's over 5 years. And you see the word expected is underlined a couple of times. Contribution rates expected to increase as losses are recognized. And the reason that word is expected is so important here is because we were making assumptions about the future. We know what's going to happen between now and the end of June, in terms of markets. So on an expected basis, it still looks very good. But that's what we measured every year to see what actually happens. The last topic is benefit provisions. There have been a couple of proposals that we looked at, and the questions were, what if we want to change the benefit package so that people can be vested in a shorter amount of time and the retirees can get a higher benefit. And so these are the current provisions. 8 years is required to be vested. Earned a benefit, can't be taken away, and it's payable at age 60. The plan provides temporary benefits, so anybody who retires before the age of 65, they get up to $150 per month. It's supposed to help offset medical costs until they're eligible for Medicare. And then for long service employees, 30 years or more, they get an additional, call that the multiplier, additional percentage of their final average pay up until age 65. That went into effect, I want to say 5 years ago or so. So that's relatively new. The plan does not include retiree cost of living adjustments. This has been a very popular topic in the last year and a half because of the inflation. So retirees lose their purchasing power, and therefore there's been a lot of interest from retiree groups to have some kind of cost of living adjustment. That's the retiree point of view. The employer point of view is, if we do that, it's going to cost something, and that's absolutely true. My personal point of view, I'm neutral. I just need to make sure that anytime this is being considered, that folks that are stakeholders, not me, do understand, what the possible cost would be. So looking at each one of those separately, the next page there is the vesting. So if hypothetically we change the vesting from 8 years to 6 years, you'd have more people that would be eligible to get a benefit if they leave, after having served 6 years for the city. That increase in cost is for active employees only. So if someone works 6 years in the city and left 3 years ago, it's not going to affect them. You only be eligible if you're working for the city right now. So the estimated increase in the liability and cost is about 0.7% of payroll to make that change. And so that's about $41,000 per year. That's one of the proposals. The other one is retiree COLA. This can be done in a lot of ways. Some systems just have an automatic COLA, meaning if somebody retires every year after they reach a certain age, their benefit just goes up by whatever inflation was, or sometimes a flat 2 or 3%, something like that. The other type of COLA is called ad hoc, where every once in a while a decision is made that, okay, we're going to increase everybody's benefit by X%. Or if they've been retired 20 years, it'll be a higher percent or something like that. There's a lot of ways to design it. So all we did was just provide an example just to show you, and this is a costly benefit to put in. A 2% increase for all retirees, which would not apply to the supplemental benefits, would increase the liability and normal cost by $280,000. So that can be paid in installments, meaning the city would not have to put in $280,000 all at once to the fund. That would be the best way to do it, but it could be spread out over, say, 5 years. So you can extrapolate on that. So if you think, well, if we provide a 4% increase, it's just double that. That's not always true with all the calculations that the actuaries do. In this case, it is. That would not affect anybody who's not retired. So anybody who's active now, they wouldn't get any type of increase later. It would just be people who currently receive benefits. So the conclusions I have for you based on all this is the funding of the plan remains strong. I think I've left that bullet point up there every single year I've been here. It's close to 100% funded for many years, and that is really excellent compared to most other public plans. And I work with a lot of them, and that's going all across the country. So it's here in Missouri, and it's in other places. It's cities, it's states, it's towns, it's counties. You're in the 99th percentile there. Costs tend to be volatile when you're close to 100%, because if you have a swing in the unfunded liability up or down, that moves the cost a lot. You even saw that with the current results going from 400 some thousand down to 300 some thousand. It's the right direction, but it's a pretty big change. The outlook changes every year. Again, that's why we do the evaluation. So we continue to monitor the experience and the funding policies going forward. In other words, how long it takes to pay things off. And any benefit improvement, whether it's vesting or COLA or benefit multiplier, even things we didn't talk about today, anything will necessarily increase costs going forward. That's something that is misunderstood by some people. Some people think, well, if your plan's over 100% funded, it doesn't really cost anything to improve benefits. That's never true. If you're going to pay more money out of the fund in any way, shape, or form, there is a cost to it. So just wanted to get that message across. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. That's the end of my prepared comments.
Thank you. Any question for Mr. Stump? You're none. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we move to our manager's report.
Mayor, Council. The manager's report, I'm gonna start off with the fire department update. This week we've had, well, since Friday, we've had 6 house fires. We had one really bad accident on West Florissant last night. Some of that could be due to the lighting in the area on West Florissant. And I know we are trying to work with Ameren to get some better lighting in that area. We are working with the Parks Department on a resiliency program, and I'll go into that a little bit more once I'm done with the fire department portion. All of our equipment is up and running and working, except for the truck that was is no longer here due to the flooding. We have a truck still on order. We'll be here around January. We should be ALS department here shortly. We're working on the paperwork currently right now. That's where we're at with the fire department. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
The accident that was on West Florissant last night, what cross street was it near?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know it was down towards Ferguson Avenue.
Okay, that helps me.
Any other question for Chief Hampton?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So that's from fire department, but from the city manager portion now as well. We are going to do a storm spotter program. Be the first time we've done it in the north area for a very, very long time. The guy has said he's never even been here. This will be at the community center, February 28th, starts at 6:30. And then you'll be a trained storm spotter for the National Weather Service if you'd like to come. We are also working on a resiliency program with the Parks Department, the Police Department, and the Fire Department, and also the City of Ferguson. This is a pilot program that we will be one of 5 in the United States to have. And what this is basically the City of Ferguson will be a standalone for 3 to 4 days. We'll have our contracts in place, so we will be able to feed people, house people. We'll already start the process of having trash collected, having that set up, and also FEMA paperwork. So we're trying to be our own little hub, and that we'll take care of our own. So we'll have with Walmart, Sam's, Schnucks, Home Depot, we will go out and seek contracts with them to have them as our suppliers for this type of natural disaster. As we all know, with the weather getting worse as weather changes or the climate changes, we're seeing more and more flooding, more and more bigger storms with tornadoes. So this is an opportunity for Ferguson to work with our church leaders, our other leaders of the community to try to bring everyone together and make this a very good program that they want to take on to other cities in St. Louis.
What was the name of the program? I missed that.
Resiliency.
Resiliency?
Yeah,
program?
so there's a lot of definitions for that, and it is explained in the program. This will be February 22nd at the community center at 7 o'clock. I encourage anybody that wants to come, please hear us out, listen to us, and be part of the solution.
7 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Thomas, did he leave? I will contact Mr. Thomas on the permits. Mr. Sharpshire, that is being addressed and will be fixed. We've already talked to the concrete company on the sinkhole you presented earlier. That's all I have for the city manager portion right now. But the only other thing I would have, I forgot to, I had it written down, is we are looking at the trash that is being accumulated in the Black Oak, Somerset corridor, with also from Walmart, Sam's, the Otis shopping centers, the Festival 1 and 2, the Burlington, that whole area. Code enforcement is going to be hitting that area and working with the commercial stores and or owners of the property to see what we can do. Right now, I know there's no plans on cleaning Somerset because it's not in their property, but that's something that we are gonna look at. I talked to the two councilwomen tonight, and we're going to do on a Saturday. We've not come up with the correct date or anything, but we're gonna do where we're gonna have the community out to help us clean this up. And then once we have it cleaned up, there is no excuse for that to happen again. So that's all I have on that portion. I'd love to take any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions, anyone? Hear none.
My last portion of the city manager report, I will have Elliot Leibson. He's our planning director and he has a housing demolition plan that we're gonna go over.
Thank you, John. Mayor, members of council. So
Pete?
as has been discussed, there are two pots of funding for demolition of it this year. The first is the $100,000 that was set aside for the EDST funds. And the second is the $250,000 for the ARPA funding. And that allows us to really hit a lot of the worst of the worst. You have a packet of photographs of the list, the summary abatement that is in the report tonight. There are others that we are working on. We had the code inspectors go out and put a list together, and there are others out there that we're going to assemble. And the upshot of all that is that what we don't get done this year, we will be able to work on in the future years, and to be able to, if we can continue the funding, make a real impact in the next 2-3 years. So as I mentioned, there's two pots, and the ARPA funds would be for the summary abatement, and the EDST funds would be going to the post third. And you have those list in your memorandum. And want to talk a little bit about summary abatement, because that is, post third properties are ones that where we can go get them from the county once we get through the property restoration program, and then just we have them, we can take them down. The summary abatement, those are privately owned and will remain so. And there's a process that we have to go through, and I outline it briefly in the memorandum. And want to mention a couple of things that I outline in the potential objection. First is, we're going to go through, because these are privately owned properties, we're going to make every effort to make sure that the property owners know, hey, you got to clean it up, or we're going to do as much public notice as I've listed as we can. And the second comment I want to make is that, there's concerns that have been expressed about cutting grass and potential illegal dumping, and those concerns exist now. And, but they exist now with the addition of the vacant structure that is a safety risk. So we're not adding to the nuisance, we're actually subtracting. And the other issues that have been brought up will remain. So it's a net zero proposition as far as that goes. And the other benefit that comes from demolishing all these properties is that, it creates a positive image for the neighborhoods. The broken window theory. If a window is broken, people are inclined to think, well, I don't have to take care of my property, or I can go throw a rock through somebody's window or something. And if they see it being cleaned up, so what, you have this spreadsheet, this map that I put together for you, and this is the larger version. These are a combination of city-owned properties, vacant properties as outlined by the county, and the properties in Post Third and Summer. And this just gives you an idea of where all the potential problems and opportunities lie within the city. And for the members of the public, the smaller map we can have available. The larger map is on our mapping software. It's just a problem to send out. But this smaller one's 11 by 17. We can have that available as you need it. But this just gives you an idea of the opportunities that we will have once we have cleaned out all the problem properties with the worst vacant structures. And you know, you can see down here by Emerson on Woodstock on either side, and then up here in Somerset, there's just a large number of vacant lots, and there'll be more along Woodstock and Beeley and Emerald and Creek. And so those are the two areas where there's going to be a real opportunity to do some subdivision development in going forward. I've talked quite a bit. I think so at this point, I'm just going to end my presentation and see if the council has any questions.
Does anyone have questions for Elliot? Okay, Chief.
Elliot, I know we talked to you earlier today also as well with code enforcement. What we are also doing with all these properties, so everybody doesn't know it's just a list. What we're doing is we're taking pictures, and we will be presenting pictures as well. So when you're looking at a property or reading the list, you'll actually see what the property looks like. And I think that goes a big way so you can understand more why we need to tear some of these properties down.
Did you all get the packet with all the pictures?
No.
No, we'll send it up. It's in the-
It's a part of the agenda.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, and I didn't want to go through it because, you know, that's a lot
Yeah.
of pages.
Because not all the properties or that were on that list that we have are the ones we have pictures of. There's a lot more that our code enforcement will be doing, and I will make sure that everyone gets the updated list.
And let me just add one final thing, and I'll keep it very brief. I have, for all these lists that we put together on this map, I have spreadsheets that are, you know, I can make available. I didn't want to overwhelm you with paperwork and lots of little tiny figures and numbers and whatnot. But I have it, and it's, you know, I'm happy to provide it to you if you wish.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Thank you, Elliot.
Mayor,
Thus-
that concludes our
Go ahead.
portion. That concludes our portion of the city manager's report.
Okay, thank you. The city manager's report has been completed. We don't have any public hearings for tonight. We move to the consent agenda. We have city council meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes, 110-23, 124-23, and special meeting minutes, 124-23. Are there any corrections? If none, I'm requesting a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved, Heather Robinette.
Is there a second?
Second, Quita Noah.
All in favor? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. The next item is our board commission meeting minutes. The Civilian Review Board for 1/9/23. I request a motion and a second to receive and file the minutes.
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Is there a second?
Second, Heather Robinette.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are filed. We move to our appointments. Before we get started on the appointments, I have several here. The North County Festival Square Community Improvement District would like to appoint John Hampton and Clark Amos to the board.
Who is Clark Amos?
He's one of the property owners.
Lewis and
Right.
Clark. Lewis and Clark are the.
Okay, I was,
Okay,
could you give the title of the board one more time, Mayor?
North County Festival Square Community Improvement District.
Gotcha.
Okay. Is there a motion in a second?
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Naquita Noah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. The next item is the Ferguson Future Foundation, where Eric Osterberg name is on it. We want to change it and put John Hampton's name on it. And at 10895 West Florissant Community Improvement District, the name still carries Jeffrey Bloom, and we need that deleted to John Hampton.
So moved, Linda Lipka. Second, Phaedra Nelson.
It's been properly moved in second that interim city manager John Hampton will be on the Ferguson Future Foundation and the West Florissant Community Improvement District. Are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. We have another appointment. We have a Starla Drake from Ward 1 to be appointed to the Citizen Review Board. What is your motion?
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Naquita Noah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry. The next item is the farmer's market. I believe you have two.
Two, yes.
Okay.
Mary Hawks and Will DeLacy.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved, Heather Robinette.
Second?
Second, Naquita Noah.
Okay, the two members to the farmer's market. We have a Quincy Smith for FYAB. I need a motion and a second.
We didn't vote.
Oh, you didn't vote? Okay.
We-
All in favor for Mary and
Will.
Will to be on the farmer's market?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now he's voting.
Thank you.
Okay. The next person is Quincy Smith for the Ferguson Youth Advisory Board.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Second, Heather Robinette.
It has been properly moved in second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor? Ayes have it. Quincy is on the Ferguson Youth Advisory Board. The landmark, we have Aaron Hang for the Landmark Commission. Is there a motion?
So moved, Heather Robinette.
Is there a second?
Second, Linda Lipka.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Mayor, I have one. I don't know why it's not on the list because it was sent to all of us as council, but it's Rodney Fickus. He owns Soulcraft as a member of FSBD.
I did see his name.
Yes, ma'am. You sent it out, so I'm assuming you checked. Well, actually, you did say you checked it and he was good on all the requirements.
Yeah, but the only ones that I placed on the agenda were the ones that were requested to be placed on the agenda. So if it's not specifically outlined, it's because there was no request for it.
I apologize. Okay, so I would like to request that he be put on the agenda as an appointment for FSBD.
Did we do our due diligence?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but if he was placed in your folders,
Okay.
then he's done.
Okay, make the motion.
So I'd like to make a motion that Rodney Fickus be appointed to the FSBD board.
Is there a second?
Second, Laquita Noah.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. We have two proclamations for tonight. And it's for Black History Month. Whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson established the observance of African American History Week for the purpose of revealing and honoring the contributions, achievements, and involvement of African Americans in the development of American democracy. Whereas this year's national theme, Black Resistance, take a look at how African Americans have fought repression from the America's earliest days, from escaping the plantation to the rise out of poverty and the struggle for equal housing and education to the struggle for voting rights. The resistance lives on even until the 21st century. And whereas the history of people of African heritage go back thousands of years, and the celebration of Black History Month brings into focus the unique achievements of numerous African-American authors, musicians, inventors, scientists, and whereas African-Americans have played a central role in Ferguson history and has contributed to the vitality of our community. Whereas Black History Month encourage unity and promote the American idea of equal education and social and economic opportunity for all citizens. Now, therefore, I, Ella Jones, Mayor of the City of Ferguson, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of February Black History Month. We have another proclamation from Iota Phi Lambda sorority, and I will be reading it in a bridge. And it says, whereas Iota Phi Lambda sorority Incorporated is the first African-American Greek letter business sorority established by African-American business women and was founded in 1926 by Lola Mercy Parker. And whereas Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated purpose is a national business and professional sorority which seeks to, one, unite in sisterhood, qualifies businesses and professional women in order to enhance and improve the status of women in our highly complex, competitive business and professional world. Number two, promote increased interest in the broad field of business education among high school and college women through planned programs and scholarships. Whereas number three, to encourage the development of personal goals and leadership potential through the provision of education opportunities. And number four, establish and promote civil and social service achievements for youth and adult. Whereas the member of the winter 2023 line will be 16 elite Emerald women. And whereas the 16 elite Emerald women would like to express their sincere gratitude and encouragement on behalf of all minority women in business. Now, therefore, I, Ella Jones, Mayor of the City of Ferguson, do hereby proclaim Saturday, February the 25th as Alpha Zeta chapter of excuse me.
Take your time.
Alpha Zeta chapter of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporation Day. Thank you. Didn't try. Next item on the agenda is our resolutions. We have resolution number 2023-05. Without objection, we introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2023-05, a resolution amending the authorized signers for UMB accounts.
Interim City Manager, can you please explain?
Yes, ma'am. With all these resolutions, in particular this one, this is removing Eric Osterberg and placing my name on for a signature.
I'm requesting a motion and a second for approval.
So move Naquita Noah. Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Noah. Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Lipper,
Aye.
Councilman Nelson.
Aye.
Resolution number 2023-05 passes. We introduced resolution number 2023-06. Without objection, we introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2023-06, a resolution authorizing certain officials to execute instruments relating to city accounts held with Regions Equipment Finance Corporation.
City Manager Hampton, could you please explain?
Yes, ma'am. Again, this is just placing my name as an authorized signature.
At this time, we need a motion and a second for approval.
So moved, Linda Lipka. Second, Phaedra Nelson.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Lipka.
Aye.
Councilman Nelson. Aye. Councilman Noah.
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Resolution number 2023-06 passes. We come to resolution number 2023-07. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2023-07. Resolution authorizing certain officials to execute instruments relating to city funds held with Multi-Bank Securities, Inc. and Pershing LLC.
Interim City Manager, could you please explain?
Yes, ma'am. Once again, this is just making me an authorized signature.
I'll entertain a motion and a second for approval.
So move Naquita Noah. Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Lipper,
Aye.
Councilman Nelson.
Resolution number 2023-07 passes. We have a bill requiring first reading. Without any objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read the bill by title only?
Bill number 7241. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute the deed and acknowledge other documents in order for the real property to be transferred to the city for city development and or beautification.
City Manager Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. I will have Elliot Leibson explain a little bit more on this.
Thank you, your city manager, mayor, members of council. This is next step in the post property restoration program. We've done it last year. We've done it. It's pretty straightforward. You give approval for the city to acquire this property. And if I could just amend the note that the memo says that it's a vacant lot. I apologize. It is not. It is an actual house. That will be changed, but the ordinance language is clean. We will acquire the property after the ordinance is passed. We submit with the application and the $30 fee with the ordinance, signed copy of the ordinance to the county. And after a period of time, they will submit us the deed and we'll file the quitclaim deeds with the developer, and then they'll work, do the title search and renovate the property. It's a pretty straightforward process. We've done it a bunch of times now. So I'll just take any questions you may have.
I have a question.
At this time, no action is required. This is the first reading. Okay. Okay. Thank you. We don't have any bills requiring a second reading. Clerk Pittman, for the certification of the February 7, 2023 election results.
Yes, the election results were as follows. For the recall of Joanne T. Borough, the vote count of yes, 327 votes, and for no, 139 votes.
At this time, I'm requesting a motion and a second to accept the results.
So moved, Heather Robinette.
Is there a second?
Second, Mike Palmer.
Okay, thank you. We move to number 11, unfinished business.
Mayor, can we go back so that everyone can vote?
Okay. Okay.
Out of here.
We have a motion and a second. I'm requesting a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. The certification of February 7, 2023 election results passes. Now we move to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Hear none. We move to new business. Do we have any new business?
Yes, Mayor, I do. There was a suggestion made at the Forest Wood meeting last Tuesday to ask for the next status hearing, if we can take the Jolly Trolley, well, if we can create a sign-in sheet so residents can sign up to take the Jolly Trolley so that they can attend the next status hearing on March 20th. So that's the ask. If we can, the residents who are interested in attending the status hearing, they could meet at the community center. So that's an ask to the city manager, if we could meet the residents' request.
I know Dave Musgrave, the Parks Director, is looking into it now.
Okay.
And he should be getting us an answer, and I will make sure it's well known.
Okay, thank you.
Any other new business?
Yes, Mayor, we have to go over the appointment process for council vacancy, of which you are by charter not allowed to take part in the conversation. I don't know if you want to step out or if you want to just sit here. It doesn't. Apollo, do you have a preference? Okay.
I'll listen.
Okay.
I don't have a paper either, so don't go put it in the newspaper that I have paper.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just like to walk through, again, this is not the appointment, this is the process for the appointment. And this is to fill the Ward 2 vacancy as a result of the February 7th special election and the subsequent removal of Councilwoman J. Tony Burrow. The process would be consistent with the authority provided to council in section 3.6 of the charter. The council has 30 days to select a replacement. If no replacement can be selected, Mayor Jones may appoint a Ward 2 qualified resident after March 9th, 2023. And the following is the timeline and details. There are 4 dates to consider. Saturday, this previous Saturday, February 11th, 2023, Heather Robinette and Mike Palmer requested a special meeting to discuss the process via email to City Clerk Octavia Pittman, which is how it got on the agenda today. Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, that is today, the process to be discussed and agreed upon by majority of remaining council. Applications to be available online Wednesday morning on February 15th. The next date is Friday, February 24th, 2023. All applications should be submitted to City Clerk Octavia Pittman by noon on February 24th. That's the Friday 24th. Council members should have eligible applications for review by end of business that day. And then the final date is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023, which is our next council meeting. Remaining council members, having reviewed the applications, will select the replacement via properly moved and seconded motion and a majority vote of said remaining members. So that is the outline of the process. So any objections or changes or a motion to,
So I
Put
make
the
a
process-
motion to accept this process and move forward.
okay,
Second.
it's been properly moved in second. Octavia, can you call the roll?
Councilwoman Lipton. Councilwoman Noah.
Aye.
Councilman Palmer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette.
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson. Did I miss you? Aye. I'm sorry.
All right, it passes and the process is in place now. So Mayor Jones, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our commercial break is now concluded.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Oh, we're running, we're on. We'll move to miscellaneous. Councilwoman Noah.
Reminder about the Ward 3 Neighborhood Association meetings. North Hills meets every third Saturday via Zoom. South Central meeting is every fourth Thursday of the month via Zoom, and Southwest is every fourth Monday of the month via Zoom. And also Lauren Goodwin, she attended the Forest Wood meeting. She's the Vector Communications owner president. She's looking for residents of the community who want to sit on the Maylene Greenway Community Advisory Committee. So if anyone is interested, you can get with me after the council meeting. I can give you her email, telephone number. That's it for me. Everyone stay safe.
Thank you, Councilwoman Noah. Councilman Palmer.
We want to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. Also, I want to encourage anybody who's a resident or non-resident, anybody who's listening, that the city has quite a few open positions across just about every department. So if you're interested yourself, you know somebody, I favor residents to work for the community, but we'll take anybody that's qualified for the positions. But take a look at the city's website at open positions. There's positions across, I think, just about every department that we have available. So we need to get those positions filled to get the city's work done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Robinette.
Have is to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lipka.
So happy Valentine's to everyone. And to reiterate what Councilman Palmer said, this is the perfect opportunity for another rebuilding process. So please be part of that. Also, I want to apologize, Mr. Shropshire. I was writing quite a bit during those public comments. I write a lot. I actually have stacks of papers from the last 7 years of all the comments I've written down of what our citizens say, and I actually use them to act upon. So if I wasn't looking up, please accept my apology. I was not being disrespectful to Ms. Kleins or Ms. Brooks or yourself or Mr. Mueller. I think that's who spoke. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nelson.
I only have one thing, and that's to still encourage and advocate for citizens to please apply for boards and commissions. As always, I'd like to see representation represented across all 3 wards. That's all I have.
Thank you. City Clerk,
No report.
Interim City Manager,
No, ma'am.
City Attorney.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thank you, Councilwoman Noah, for Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
We got some from Mike too.
Mike didn't give me one, I guess.
Okay, I just would like to share with everyone that First Baptist Church of Ferguson and New Jerusalem Baptist Church are having a family fun day. They are getting together for the citizens of Ferguson to bring their families to First Baptist Church this Saturday, February the 18th, from 11 o'clock until 2 o'clock. They will have senior bingo, arts and crafts, everything for the family. They really want the families of Ferguson to come out and get to know each other. So they are having this family fun day. So please, you don't have to pay a dime. Everything is free. So please come out and support this effort. At this time,
I will also say it's supposed to be very good weather and sunny that day, so no excuses.
yeah, and they're looking for somebody to barbecue. I'm looking at him since he left fire. Okay, at this time, we'll entertain a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Don't move, Naquita Noah.
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, meeting is adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your day.